This morning, the US CPI report released with inflation hitting 3.2%. Now that's up from last month's 3%. The shelter index and rent index also saw increases over the past month. Let's bring in Yahoo Finance's Dani Romero to break down those numbers for us. Hey, Dani.
Hi there, Rochelle. Well, experts say that these figures show that we're way past peak inflation on the housing front. Let's dive into those July numbers. Shelter costs, which makes up a third of overall CPI, that increased 0.4% on a monthly basis. This was the same in June. Moving on to rent prices, that rose 0.4% month over month, the lowest print since March of last year. Next up, owner's equivalent rent, which measures how much a homeowner would pay to rent an equivalent apartment, that increased 0.5%. And lastly, lodging away fell 0.3%. Overall, shelter costs over the past year have eased. Experts say that housing disinflation will continue to pick up momentum in the coming months. And that also coincides with another study from the San Francisco Fed that says that shelter inflation is set to ease considerably and may even turn negative next year. And these researchers also found that the Fed's tightening campaign has already had its impact. Rochelle?
So, Dani, now that this CPI data has come out, how can we use it to understand where rents are going to be headed in the next year or so?
Well, Rochelle, rents are cooling. Rental inflation is easing due to the heavy supply that is hitting the market. But real-time data shows a different story. The rental market still remains under pressure. Zillow reported that nationally, the median asking rent price climbed to over $2,000 in July. Rents are still 3.6% higher than they were a year ago. And some economists say that this could be a blip in the data, not something that we need to be concerned about just yet, because it's still way too early for that increase to factor into CPI, because CPI still hasn't captured the slowdown in rental growth over the past year. Rochelle?
Now, that's the thing with some of these lagging numbers, trying to keep pace of what's actually happening in real time here, especially if you're trying to decide whether or not to rent or go into home ownership. Great stuff there. Thank you so much. Our very own Dani Romero.